Rabbi said there is so much to discuss on this one sif in Shulchan Aruch. I mentioned to the Olam I could spend 2 weeks, easy, 2 weeks just on sif Aleph. The nafkaminas, the halacha l'maisas are tremendous. We've got a lot to discuss, as I mentioned to you last week on Thursday. Specifically, I want to get to some of the shilas of hotels, electricity in Eretz Yisrael. These are big shilas that we have to get to. But before that, what I want to do today is I really want to define some of the terms that we're hearing and we're seeing many a time in Sif Aleph, Shogeg and Mezid. We'll try to be masakin a little bit of what we've learned. I would also try to define some of the terms, and maybe we'll even get to the Magen Avram that talks about the pot as well, which is also a lot of interesting shilas, a lot of Marmakomis as well. If you want to look up these Marmakomis, I'll try to mention the Marmakomis so you'll be able to write them down. We can go over the share because there are some very, very good points over here, which I believe this is something that you have to know for all Hilchos Shabbos. It's not just one of the Melachas. This is something you have to know for every single one of the Hilchos Shabbos. Melachas, you have to know Hilchos Maaser Shabbos. So first question we have to ask is, why is Maaser Shabbos also? What's the reason? Ma baya. What's the problem? Why they ask for it? What's the problem? You did a Melacha. Okay, fine. You shouldn't have done. I wasn't meant to. I did it already. No, ma baya. Why they ask for it? So Rashi and Choni, we mentioned this last time also, is not to be nana from an aveira. That's what it is. A person did an Aveira. To have Hana from that Aveira, Rashi, is something that we don't want a person to have. Tosfos and Kollel Tezvav tells us that it's a Knas, Shogeg, or to Mezid, which, by the way, there are tremendous shilas on this Tosfos, not for this moment of time. Why? And in different situations, and specifically when you get to the Magen Avram, where he discusses the pot being Asa, that it was cooked on Shabbos. Why is that so? We'll get to that, Be'ez Hashem. Hopefully we'll try to get to it today. If not, B'li in the next couple of days we'll give another share that will go through some of that also. Rabbi Menashe Klein Zatzal from Mishnah Lochas, so he brings down another pshat. He says that the Rabbeinu Shalom didn't want, as we know, things to be created on Shabbos Kodesh. Right? We know Shabbos is the day that the Rabbeinu Shalom rested. Mimela, we have to rest. Shabbos is the day that Rabbeinu Shalom wanted nothing to be created. So Mimela, if a person created something, and of course every Melacha is, we spoke about this by Riches more last month, every Melacha is a building, right? It's a constructive, it's a tikkun. There's no kilkul when it comes to Shabbos Kodesh. It has to be, in order for a person to be chayiv, there has to be a tikkun, there has to be constructive. You're building something, you're accomplishing something. Mimela, if that's the case, so therefore the Rabban Shem did not want it to be created. If you are going to utilize that item that was created, you're being mechazik, something that the Rabban Shem didn't want to be created. Memela, that's why a person should not get involved in that. As I state in the Mishnah Lachas, Rabbi Menashe Klein. Let's go move on now to the nafkaminos between Daraisa, Darabanan, Mezid, and Shogeg, and let's try to define the terms, because these are important terms to define. What does it mean as Shogeg? What does it mean in Mezid? Big nafkaminas. For example, one of the Choshev members of the Kollel just asked me that he had a shayla on Shabbos. He went to a next door neighbor that supposedly learns the halachas, knows the halachas. What does that mean? If he's not a Rav, can he paskin the shaylas? And if he does paskin it wrongly, what din does that have? Is that a mezid or a shoygig nafkamina legabe Maaser Shabbos? Can you or can you not eat that item? So let's try to explain it. So let's go like this. The first madrega is an Issa Daraisa that was done b'mezid. An Issa Daraisa, let's just talk about bishul, because that's what Lashon of Shulchan Aruch is, but of course it means anything. It could be also koreya, somebody cut a tablecloth, plastic roll of tablecloth, they didn't chap, they didn't know, maybe they did know but they didn't care. We'll get to the terms in a minute. They cut the plastic tablecloth is in front of you now. Are you allowed to be nana from it? A mavashal on Shabbos, someone did boira on Shabbos, they peeled or they separated the silverware and they set the table. Are you allowed to have honor? All of these shilas are negated to every Melacha. But let's just talk about bishul for the sake of clarity. We'll call it bishul, but of course it applies to everything. So if somebody cooks on Shabbos, it's a daraisa. And of course you have to know Hilchos Shabbos to know what's an Issa Daraisa and what's an Issa Drabanan. But he did an Issa Daraisa, he did it b'mezid. So halacha is the one that did the bishul, it is also for him forever. That's Klon Shulchan Aruch. That item, whatever that was cooked, it is also for him forever. Other people, that means even if it was done for them, it is mutter for them to have hana on Maaser Shabbos, even miyad. As is the psak lemaisa, Shulchan Aruch, the Eliyah Rabbah, Shulchan Aruch Harav, Bodan Aruch HaShulchan, Mishnah Teledavik, Kavachayim, they all bring down, that is a simple halacha. However, note that there are those that say that the people that it was cooked for has the same din as the one that cooked it. Meaning, anyone it was cooked for, this could be enough communion in hotels as well, which we'll get to a different time, has the same din as the one that cooked it. Azoi is Maaser the Mogen Avram, you saw that yourself, and so is Machmeh the Beis Meir, the Nashon Torah Shabbos also, that want to be Machmeh. You'll tell me what's Pshat in the Shulchan Aruch Harav, what's Pshat in El Rabbah that hold not that way. They hold the Lashon of the Mogen Avram is he ends off with the Beis Yosef in Yeridei, it's Choshesh because of the Mira La'akam, but that's only over there, that's not over here. L'maisa Rov HaChronim hold that someone it was cooked for is not like the person who cooked it, and therefore an Issa D'Oraisa b'mezid, mezid of course means he knows it's Shabbos, he knows it's Asa, does it anyway, therefore will be mutter for other people on Motzei Shabbos. What about Mishpacha? What about family members? Well, do family members have the same din as a chayrim? It was done for them, or perhaps maybe family members have a slightly different din in that case. What's the din over there? So the Narsholim brings in Yeridei Simon Tzadites. There's we're going to see a lot of comparisons between Yeridei and Orachaim over here. So the Narsholim brings in Yeridei Tzadites, who had din the b'nei beisai? That is meaning just like it's also for the one that did it, who had din libnei beisai, meaning for those that are soymach al shulchanai, the children, the wife, they have a din of the person that actually did the actual melacha, which means if it was done b'mezid and it was issa d'oraisa, it will be asa la'olam, even on Motzei Shabbos. Azoi brings the Nashon. There is a tshuva in the Radvaz. Chuvas Radvaz and Chedevav Simon base, where he brings down that the whole reason that we ask over here is because of a knas. Mimela, when there's an issa, wherever you can get hana from it, it's included in the knas. So Mimela, in that case over here, it's not going to help the takana of people that are going to be mutter to give it to, zuk the radvaz, because anytime a person does an issa, he's just going to give it to other people in that case. Mimela zuk the radvaz, anyone that's soymach al shulchanai, has got a din of the person that was mavashal, and the Memela will be asa. The Marasham and Das Torah, by the way, also paskins lahachme in this case, and Remnissen Karelitz, Lamaisas Zatzal also paskins that family had the din of the one that does it. Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal also paskin this way. It's a big chumrah, most don't paskin this way. But you hear where it's coming from, because the Radvaz says it doesn't help you. You've got people living in the family, so if a person doesn't issa, they're just going to give it to the other people. So Memela, the whole reason of the knas is to stop him. It's not going to stop him. Memela, that's why they asked it. So that's why they want to tie into that family members, according to Remnissen Karelitz and Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal, family members have the din of the one that cooked it, which means mezid da'oraisa will be a problem for that person la'olam. What about if a person asked it to be done? What if a person asked the melacha to be done? So a person asked someone to do a melacha and it was done. Not by him, by somebody else. Does he have a din of the one that was mavashal, which means asala oilam because it was memezid, if it's a deraisa, or does he have a din of a chayrim that on Motzei Shabbos he can have it? By the way, these shaylas come up quite often lemaisa, especially when a person goes to different places in Eretz Yisrael. I get this from the Bachrim all the time. They go to random cousins and uncles and aunts that live in a random place in Eretz Yisrael, and now that person Nebuch doesn't know all the halachas. So the shayla is, what will be the din? Are you allowed to have hana from various things that person does? Forget about what the hechsher of the food is. That's another shayla. But are you allowed to have hana, or you're not allowed to have hana? That will be the shayla. The Tila David asked this kasha. Right? If you remember, I mentioned this before. Rabbi Zul Obach was to do Shemish by for many years. Rabbi Zul is Rabbi Yashiv's son-in-law. He always told me that when it came to Rabbi Yashiv, the Tila David was Kodesh Kedoshim. And if you ever looked at a Tila David, we have it on the list. Actually, we should put it on the list. Tila David is unbelievable. The lomdus, it's halacha unbelievable. It's a mamish godel, unbelievable. So when he came to Rabbi Yashiv, looked at a Tila David, it was like, wow, Tila David said it. So Tila David asked this kasha, and he wanted to know, because the be'etzim were mekel normally for the one that it was done for, he has a din of acherim, that's mutar after Shabbos. But if he asked another yid to do it for him, efshah zuk the Tila David, that's going to be different. Zog the Tila David like this. He says that since that a person who asks another yid to do a melacha of him on Shabbos is oiva lifnei iva, right? So b'meila, so that it's also for him la'olam in that case. It's also from the olam, and he cannot have any hana from that, as the psak lemaisa of the Tillel David in that case. Now, what happens if a person asks a big Rav who knows the halachas officially, but this halacha is not such a bokian? I don't know why. This halacha is not such a bokian, whatever that means. So what din does that have? He made a mistake. I asked the Rav made a mistake. It was an Issa D'Oraisa. I did it because the Rav told me to. So it was amazing because I knew what I was doing. I knew it was Shabbos. Okay, I didn't know it was Asa maybe, but whatever. What din does that have? Oh, good kasha. So Yalkut Yosef brings B'Shem Kama Gedolei HaPoskim Kedauka Kodesh Ravadia, and he brings also Das Torah as well, the Marasham, that holds that Maaser you have a din of a mazid. Because at the end of the day, you should, again, why? It's a good kasha. Really should be a guy relied on him. But he should have known better. And because you relied on him, that's got a din of a mazid. And by the way, the Marsha, Mefurish Marsha, in Soitach of Dalit, and the Marsha says if you're soimach on a sefer and it's wrong, either you or it, then it's also got a din of a mazid. So you have to be very, very careful. That's why the beginning of every sefer always says, don't rely on this sefer for any psak la halacha la ma'aser. Somebody called me up one time, was very, very upset with me. How could you write that at the beginning of a sefer? What's the point of the sefer? It says that you can't paskin like this halacha la ma'aser. So I told them, listen, you have to understand, every case is different. You're going to open up a book and it's going to say, in this case it's moto, in this case it's asa. Maybe your case is slightly different, but you're not going to chap the nafkamina and you're going to pass it based on that. You're making a mistake. That could be amazing. Could be if you go exactly like the case of the sefer, that might be slightly different. But I'll upon him.
Brings down that if you ask somebody from the lamdonim without the place given.
Give me a second, we're going to get there right now. So now, let's get to the next darga. What if it's an Issa D'Oraisa done b'shoigig? This is probably more negeya. How many people are doing a Melacha D'Oraisa b'mezid? Normally it's a shoygig. So the din over here, Shulchan Aruch, the beginning of the Simon Shin Yud Ches, that if it's done on Shabbos, no one's allowed to have hana. And again, we're dealing with an Issa D'Oraisa. Someone did boire b'shoygig. You walk into a house, you're like, hey, how did you do that? Oh, I didn't know that was Asa. So this is the Raisa Boira, he did it b'shoigig, he didn't know the halachas. Are you allowed to have hana on Shabbos? No one is allowed, not you, not the person that did it, not the person that was done for, not the person that saw it, whatever it is. After Shabbos, everyone's allowed to have hana. What's the din of a shoigig? So Poshup Pshat, there's a Ramban, the Ramban coming up in Perek Kiv, it's a Mishnah Berurah, by the way, in Reishon and Gimel Sikot and Chavtes, where shoigig bedin, made a mistake in the halacha. He thought this halacha was mutter. Right, he learned the halachas, he thought this halacha was mutter, was asa. Right, he made a mistake in that case. Agav, the Pri Megadim says, there's a Pri Megadim in Yeridei Simukuf Ches, in Sikot involved, the Pri Megadim says enough community in a man and a woman. Because a man is meant to know the halachas. So if he doesn't know the halachas, that's his problem. And then, that's his problem. A woman, of course she's meant to keep the halachas, but it's not really her din. She doesn't have a din of Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. So maybe that's why there's enough kamina. But he's blood tzorachin. He does leave off tzorachin in the sugya, but he does make him enough community, men and women. Right? So you guys are lucky that I'm talking to a Kollel that's learning Hilchos Shabbos when I'm downstairs talking to Bokshem downstairs. The boys also learn halacha. But if I get invited to talk about other places, oy vavoy, right? You guys have to know halacha. You have to know what to do. You have to know what to do. So the Pri Megadim says a man that's meant to know what to do, he doesn't know what to do. Could be din of amazing. But I could put it. A person is shoygig bedin, that be one din. Next, there is many rayas that if someone does it al pi hoyras chacham, that's got din of a shoygig. Even though we said Ravadia held it with din of a mazid, but like you said, according to most poskim, if you go to a Rav and the Rav paskins that it's mutter and you do it, that's his problem. That's not your issue. That's called a shoygig, which again means on Shabbos you would not be allowed to have any hana from it. But at least on Motzei Shabbos, you would be allowed in that case. And of course, if you forgot it was Shabbos, for some reason, you woke up in the middle of the night, it happens, you wake up in the night, you put on the light of the bathroom, whatever. So in that case, you forgot it was Shabbos, so then that's also got a din of b'shoigig, or Shulchan Aruch also says mashma if you forgot this was asa. Meaning you knew the halacha. You just have forgot that, I can't believe I forgot the halacha, I knew it's asa. Well, I forgot, right now I forgot. That's got a din of, all of this has got a din of a shoigig. If you go to the lamdomim, right, that's what you were talking about, the Piskei Tshuva, right, in Yeridei. If you go, Oh yeah, exactly. If you go to the people that are learning it, it's a very dangerous thing to do, by the way. It's very nice that the people are learning it, but not everyone gets the halacha l'maisa. And they're going to halacha l'maisa because it's more of a din of a meza than a din of a shoygig. Why asking a guy who's learning it, mechateza? or you ask a Rav, something else. Someone who's learning it, that's not going to be good enough in that case. Again? You can ask the Kollel, but you guys get Halacha Maaser, so it's okay. Baruch Hashem.
It's very easy to determine what's good and not.
Why?
Because you either eat or you don't. Let's say light in the bathroom or you warmed up a house.
Light the bathroom is hana of looking. What do you mean seeing?
So you can't do someone did a Shabbos.
If it wouldn't be able to see, otherwise could be. Meaning, if there's a window, and during the day you could see normally, so I'm not getting an off the light anyway. But tonight it could be a problem.
If I warm up the house, you close your eyes.
It's a problem. Who? You can close your eyes, yeah. We'll talk about electricity on Shabbos. That's cool for the Shaila. We're going to talk about that. I don't know. Before this Shabbos, Bli Neder, we've got to get to the Shaila. Because the again? Turning off will be different, correct. Turning off, because I'm not getting direct tunnel. By Mirul Akab, it's a big sugya.
Well, a lot of people can't sleep.
Correct, but I'm not getting a direct, it's not going to get a direct tunnel. Direct tunnel means I am getting direct tunnel by the Maaser that was done. Direct tunnel, it was taken away. It's called Mavrei Hari, which means if I take away the door, I can go inside. It's not a direct tunnel. It's not called a direct tunnel when you switch something off. For example, a goy, you don't have to turn off on something a goy does for a yid, right? It's a Melacha, classic. But if a goy switch off a light, it's much more Michael than putting on a light. Because I can sleep, you're right. Technically I can getting hana, but I'm not getting hana directly for what he did. It's indirect. It's because there's no light on anymore, that's why I can sleep. But whereas
Light on, now I can see.
no, but yes, I'm getting hana from exactly what he did. And what he did is still kaim, it's still there. It's metzias, it's physical. The light, the illumination is still there from the original thing. You got it? You got it. Okay, so Shimon, to get together, you'll explain it. Gewaldig. Let's go weiter. Good? We okay? Again? Yeah, you pass on Shiur. Let's move on. Warm up a house b'shoigeg. Can you go into the house? I mean, if that's where you live, you've got no choice. You've got no choice. And a chanami. But otherwise, it's a problem to have ano. If there's no other eitzah, then you're allowed. And a chanami, you the Shabbos, you have no eitzah. Then you have to go. Say no. If there's an eitzah in a chanami, then you should use the eitzah. If you're warming up the house and it oifen a issa, yeah, in a chanami, maybe we'll get. Okay, let's see if we get to that. All right, let's move on, Rabbi. So let's move on. What if a person switched on a light out of habit? Stami has a habit. Every time he walks past this light, he normally switches on in that case. So the Poskim Mishnah Halachas Rabbi Menashe Klein and Chelibov discusses the Shaila, and he says that's got a din of a shoygeg. Rabbi Elyashiv Zatzal also passed in that way. That's got a din of a shoygeg. I mean, even if you knew what you were doing, but it comes machmas hergol, it comes because of a habit. Therefore, there is no problem in that case. It's considered to be a shoygeg. Nafkamina in that case. Fine. Let's move on to Rabbi side. A lot more to discuss. Let's get to the Shaila of the pot. Let's talk about the pot. It's very, very interesting when you talk about the pot. The food, we know, this is clear. When a person cooks b'mezid, what is the din of the pot? So the Rashba, which you saw clearly, Mogen Avraham, Mishnah Berurah, that since the food is asa b'achila, mimela, we know that there's blias, there's absorbed tastes inside the pot. So if the food is asa, the pot is automatically going to be asa, which by the way is a huge chiddush. Because the Havamin over here is, it's an Issa Gavra, not an Issa Cheftza, if you want to get, talk blunders. It's an Issa Gavra, there's an Issa Gavra on the item. Meichatesa, Issa Cheftza, sorry, it's Issa Gavra on the person. Meichatesa, it's on the actual Cheftza. Kamash Ronon, it's the Chiddush of the Rashba. The interesting thing over here is as follows. It's Masha from the Mogen Avraham, if you learn the Mogen Avraham, that the pot has the same din as the food, which means that if you do an Issa D'Oraisa b'mezid, it's Asa L'Olam, so now the pot is going to be Asa L'Olam. That means after 24 hours, we're not going to say Noisen Tan Nifgam, that the pot loses the absorbed taste in a normal, natural manner, and now a pot be'etzem has got no more taste in it. So Memela, there should be now mutter to have this over here. And the question is why? Why don't we say after 24 hours, the pot becomes mutter, just like Noisen Dan Nefgam is mutter in that case. Now I understand in Yoredeya, we have an issa that a person is not allowed to use an Eine Ben Yomo pot, for example, milchiks for fleishiks or faket, because they were geyser on Eine Ben Yomo or to Ben Yomo. That I understand. But there's no gzeir over here. There's no gzeira over here. We're dealing with the knas of hana of Maaser Shabbos. So I understand the first 24 hours will be osir because the taste is still inside the pot. But after 24 hours, the taste inside the pot is no longer potent. It's no longer a tam. It's nice and tan nefgam. But it's mashav and the Magen Avraham, and look at the Rashba, that it's osir kederech hafood. Whatever the food is, the pot is. If the food is osir la'olam, the pot is osir la'olam. And the question is why? So Shlomo Zalman has a beautiful tshuva in Minchas Shlomo, where he, in Chelik Aleph, where he says that it sounds like Chazal treated it mamish like macholos hasuros, and therefore they were not mechalit between Issa, or Basar V'cholav Yeridea, and Shabbos Kodesh, and they were gozer on Eina Ben Yoma just like they were gozer in Yeridea. However, again, what do you mean the Heksha? I mean, can you kasher it?
No, it's a pants. It helps doing the Maaser. That's smart. And if I'm there as well. But because this part is helping the Maaser Shabbos, even though it didn't really do anything.
Yeah, but after 24 hours, the taste is gone. There's no more taste anymore. It's finished. There's no Maaser Shabbos anymore. There's nothing there. I mean, and even in Yeridea, even in Treif, it's that way. They were goyza on any ben yom or to a ben yom. If you're going to allow a person to use a pot that had treif cooked in it after 24 hours, he might come to use it during 24 hours. That I hear. But over here by Shabbos, like, well, what's the gzeira?
So a glass pot, this whole Torah would never even apply.
The glass is a different shaila. Arachaim Tofnon Aleph, Yeridea Kuf Chof Aleph. Look up Hilchos glass. Chmaisnish, not for now. Maybe before Pesach, discuss glass. Glass is a big shaila. What the din of glass? The Ramah is more machmer than the Shulchan Aruch when it comes to glass. I don't know. We're not discussing kasher and kanim at this moment of time. We're going to get to there. Very good. That's what Shlomo Zalman says. So Shlomo Zalman says they treated it like a piece of issa. So Mamela, the food that was cooked in an oifen issa doraisa b'mezid, it's a piece of issa mamish. So Mamela, there's enough community in Shabbos and you're over there. In the Sefer Torah Shabbos, he asks on the Magen Avraham from a Gemara in Gittin Daf Nun Gimel, that he says that Maaser Shabbos, according to Rabbi Yehuda, is only a knas, and the Gemara in Pesachim clearly says that the issa, right, because the knas only issa, is only be'en, when it's mixed with something else, when it's tyrovus with something else, but then there's no problem. So according to that, he brings a raya, the bliyas in a pot should also have no problem. The Sefer Mati Yehuda, by the way, also asked the Magen Avraham, where did the Magen Avraham get this from? Look at the Rashba. I don't know how many people looked at the Rashba inside. Look at the Rashba inside. He said that's the Makar from the Magen Avraham. That he says that it's a raya, says the Rashba, is the pot is only osif, it's done b'mezid, according to Rabbi Yochanan HaSandlar, that holds that Maaser Shabbos is doraisa. But we hold like Rabbi Yehuda, that it's only a knas, so mainly only the food is